Okay, so hopefully you've had a chance to screenshot and look at the slide. So physical effects then. Well, here we will definitely feel tightness or pain in the chest, as if you can't quite get your... And I really recommend spending time meditating with breathing for this center. So if we kind of imagine the energy just kind of going down through our throat into the heart chakra, it's quite easy because it's a straightforward route, and just imagine it kind of filling with energy, opening and closing, opening and closing. So what you'll find is the heart chakra can often be problematic if somebody has issues like asthma, COPD, emphysema, so any of those kind of breathing issues. And I would always pick, although it's not really a heart chakra oil, I would always say have a little go at getting them to do inhalation work with frankincense or with Monarda essential oils for this sort of breathing of not being able to catch your breath. So that would be the first thing. What you'll also find is sometimes the chakra will be misaligned, and I'm currently working on a piece of work called the Sensorium Approach, which you'll be able to get soon, which explains to you how you move it back into the right space and how you actually gauge, well, is it working to 100%? Now, what you'll find is 100% is different for other people, and also you'll find that some people will never get to 100%. So for example, if somebody has had a massive stereotyping here, but if somebody's had a really harsh childhood where they've never really had their needs responded to, they cried, no food came, no love came, first of all you're going to see tremendous problems in the root chakra, and when that happens the energy never really accumulates fully up to the heart chakra. So somebody's like 100% might not actually be 100%, it might be like 70%. And again, in the Sensorium Approach, I'll show you how you gauge exactly what that is. But just simple breathing exercises of kind of just trying to fuel this area with as much sort of, I always say that frankincense it expands the tissue, so it slows the breath, but it restores elasticity. So we kind of get this open and close and open and close that's much more reliable. So that would be the first thing. But also, and again, if this is happening, you need to be at the doctors. You're not just like focusing on these essential oils, but these essential oils can really help, but please go to the doctors. Heart palpitations and blood pressure issues, I would always go for ylang ylang essential oil, or a mix over a couple of days of ylang ylang and clary sage essential oil. So it's very good to wear like an aroma pendant and just to be able to inhale these. But the reason why I use 2 is because ylang ylang is really, really good at this, but it also is quite nauseating and it can give you a headache if you've been using it for too long. So if you want to kind of continue with the medicine, clary sage is really good. And we do have scientific evidence to support how ylang ylang can reduce blood pressure, soothe palpitations. It actually affects how the different heartbeats work, but also how it can just help palpitations generally. However, this proof only applies to men. That's so but it also works on women, but the proof is the scientific paper only talks about men, but we do have this. So what I would suggest is just like 1 drop on an aroma pendant, and you'll really see how that kind of soothes the area of the flow of the heart chakra and works upon the blood pressure and the palpitations. And ylang ylang is really good at harmonizing energy. If it were to have like a watchword, a theme, I would always say it's about balance. And so that's what we want, isn't it? Open and close and open and close. So that would be really good. The main oil that we tend to use for the heart chakra though is rose. Rose is so good, and we'll talk about that on the emotional side. Very good for grief, and we'll talk about that separately. But it's very good for your circulation and for your hormones generally. You may find that it's easier to have an open heart chakra when you are ovulating and also in the first week of your period, because the estrogen affects whether you worry and how angry you are. So the more angry you are, the harder it is to feel love out into the community, right? I will be putting up or reissuing a meditation that I have done in the past called Rose Benediction. I think it sits really well this week. It's got like 16,000 views on it anyway, but it's tremendous if you find that you just want to calm down and have some feelings of inner peace and sort of give your your heart chakra some love. It's just beautiful to meditate with rose, but rose is really good for the circulation generally. The other things that you might find that you have issues with are shoulder, upper back and arm tension, because it's supposed to be fueling all of this energy, right? So it's worth just kind of having a poke about, where does it hurt? Where does it hurt? Now, remember that chakras can move, and not can move, they do. They move a lot. And so often they'll be pulled off center. And as I say, in the sensorium approach, I'll teach you how to put them back and how to isolate exactly where they are. But one of the things, there's two main things that will move them. First of all, extreme emotions. And of course, extreme emotions is absolutely the heart chakra thing. But also, muscular tension can move the energy over in the body. So if we just have a poke about, well, where does it hurt? And you don't really have to explain, well, why. There, it hurts there. Potentially it's an acupressure point, right? But just use your little bit of oil, whether you go for rose or frankincense or whatever you think fits for what you're doing, and just kind of, okay, I'm just going to work with that little energy spot there and just relieve out the muscles a little bit so they soften. If you've got real tender shoulder muscles, a bit of lavender is fantastic. So while it's not actually a heart chakra oil, we wouldn't say that it's working on the heart chakra. What you're doing is supporting the physical body around the heart chakra. We have this lovely holistic approach where everything works in unison to bring the flow of energy through the aura, through into the physical body. We want to have this flow backwards and forwards, so we feel good enough to be able to love, to receive love, but also not just like this interpersonal thing between one or two people, but we want to be able to flow energy out into the much wider world, projecting love out, because there's not enough love in the world right now, people. The other thing that we might see in the physical body is immune system weakness. So I was just poking about and I can feel pain here. This is really local to where the lymphatic system enters into the subclavian. It's actually here. So there's my clavicle. So the lymphatic system empties into the subclavian here and also into the groin. But often, if you've got a sort of fluid buildup, this can be really quite painful here. So the oils that I would recommend to use for that would be fennel and juniper. And so there is my painful spot. So I would just use a little bit of fennel, a bit of lavender, and also juniper, lavender and juniper on your neck. Just beautiful. So just take care of this area. You might not be able to afford to go and see a massage therapist. Well, that's okay. Just do a little bit. If you can go and see a massage therapist, you definitely should be. really reducing these areas. So I'm going to put a slide up now so you can see the different oils that I've mentioned, the maximum dilutions that you should be using, and also the safety. So any drugs that you shouldn't be using with any kind of medical conditions. And then we'll go on to the emotional effects.